Okay, I'm only making this because I genuinely need to know if I'm losing my mind, or if this is actually as messed up as I think it is. I haven't told my mom. I haven't told my best friend. Because honestly, I'm still sitting in my car right now, trying to process the last 24 hours. Let's back up. 6 months ago, I met Ethan. If you saw Ethan, you'd think, okay, he's a safe bet. He's 28, he works in landscaping, mostly residential stuff, designing gardens, and he's just low drama. He wears flannels, he smells like cedar wood, and he has this really grounding, calm energy. I had just come out of a nightmare relationship with a guy who was a total narcissist. So meeting Ethan felt like a breath of fresh air. He didn't play games. He texted back immediately. He took me to nice dinners, he remembered how I took my coffee, and he was just there for me. But about 3 months into dating, things started getting a little weird. Not bad, just weird. It started with small things. I have this set of vintage silver wine glasses that my grandmother gave me. They aren't worth a fortune, but they have emotional value. One night, Ethan and I were cooking pasta at my apartment, and I went to grab them from the top shelf. There were only 3. I could have sworn there were 4. I asked Ethan if he remembered me breaking one, and he just shrugged and said, "Babe, you probably left it at your friend's house during that wine night last month." And I thought, yeah, you're right. I'm forgetful, whatever. A few weeks later, my limited edition vinyl record of Rumors by Fleetwood Mac went missing. It wasn't in its sleeve. The sleeve was there, but the vinyl was gone. Again, Ethan helped me look for it for an hour. He was tearing up my couch cushions, checking behind the TV, being so supportive. He eventually kissed my forehead and said, "Don't worry, it'll turn up." You know how things just vanish into thin air in this apartment? I started genuinely believing I was developing early-onset memory loss. I started writing down where I put my keys, my wallet, my jewelry. I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. Cut to last night. We were at his apartment. It was a rainy Tuesday, totally normal. We were watching a movie, and around 9 p.m., I got this massive craving for ice cream. Ethan, being the sweet guy he is, immediately jumps up, grabs his jacket, and says, "I'll run down to the corner store and grab a pint of Ben & Jerry's. Be right back." He leaves. His laptop is sitting on the kitchen island open. He didn't lock it because, well, we've been dating for 6 months. We trust each other. About 2 minutes after the front door clicks shut, his laptop starts buzzing, loudly. It's that specific Facebook Messenger ping, 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 ping 5 times in a row. Now listen, I am not a snooper. I have never looked through a boyfriend's phone in my life. I think if you feel the need to snoop, the relationship is already over. But it kept buzzing, and I honestly thought it might be an emergency, or maybe his landlord. So I walked over to the kitchen island just to glance at the screen. The screen was open to his Facebook Marketplace dashboard. And right there at the top of his active listings, posted exactly 45 minutes ago, was a listing that read, "Vintage emerald green velvet armchair. Good condition, $150. My heart didn't just drop, it plummeted into my stomach. Because that armchair? It was currently sitting in the corner of my living room. I stared at the photo. I zoomed in. There was a very specific, faint coffee stain on the left armrest where I had spilled my latte 3 weeks ago. It was my chair. No doubt about it. He had taken a photo of it while I was in the bathroom earlier that week, and now he was selling it online. I stood there in his kitchen, completely frozen. The apartment was dead silent except for the hum of his refrigerator. My mind was racing, trying to find a logical explanation. Maybe he has the exact same chair? Maybe it's a coincidence, but deep down, I knew. With shaking hands, I touched his trackpad. I clicked on his profile to see his sold items history. I scrolled down. 2 months ago, set of 3 vintage silver wine glasses. Sold for $45. 3 months ago, Fleetwood Mac Rumors vinyl, no sleeve. Sold for $30. 4 months ago, designer black leather jacket. Sold for $120. I had cried for 3 days thinking I left that jacket at a crowded bar. He wasn't a robber who broke in and cleared the place out. He was a parasite. For the entire duration of our relationship, every single time he came over to my apartment, he would look around, find one item he knew I wouldn't immediately miss, slip it into his duffel bag or under his coat, and sell it on the internet. I was standing there, looking at the digital receipts of my own life, being liquidated by the man who told me he loved me last week. I felt violated. I felt incredibly stupid. But most of all, I was just profoundly confused. Why? Ethan makes decent money. He drives a nice truck. Why is he stealing my vintage decor for 50 bucks a pop? And then I heard the jingle of keys at the front door. I slammed his laptop shut, ran back to the couch, threw the blanket over my legs, and grabbed my phone, pretending to scroll. The door opened. Ethan walked in, completely drenched from the rain, holding a plastic bag. He had this huge, boyish grin on his face. He walked over, handed me the pint of ice cream, and then reached into his jacket pocket. "Close your eyes," he said. I forced myself to close them. My chest was so tight I could barely breathe. "Okay, open them." I opened my eyes. He was holding a small, beautifully wrapped box from a local boutique jewelry store downtown. I opened it. Inside was a delicate, gold-plated necklace with a tiny emerald charm. It was a necklace I had pointed out in a shop window 3 weeks ago. It was gorgeous. It cost exactly $150. Ethan smiled, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "I know things have been a little tight with my landscaping business since it's winter, but I saw how much you loved it, and I wanted to do something special for you." I looked at the necklace. Then I thought about the emerald green armchair, currently sitting in my living room, listed on his laptop for the exact same price. He didn't buy me a gift. He was literally just trading my armchair for a necklace. He was subsidizing our relationship by using my own belongings as currency. He isn't some hardened criminal mastermind. He's just broke, incredibly proud, and monumentally stupid. I didn't confront him last night. How could I? What do you even say to that? "Hey, thanks for the necklace, by the way. Please don't sell my furniture." Plus, I realized something. If I confronted him right then, he would just make up some lie, get defensive, or worse, apologize, cry, and make me feel guilty. I needed to see how far this went. I needed to know the full scope of his operation. So I put the necklace on. I thanked him. I ate the ice cream. And the entire time I was planning my next move. This morning, Ethan left early for a consulting gig. The moment his truck pulled out of the driveway, I went to work. I created a fake Facebook account. I used a stock photo of a middle-aged woman named Susan and set my location to a town, about 20 minutes away. I searched for Ethan's profile. The listing for my emerald green armchair was still up. It had been up for 14 hours. I messaged him from Susan's account. "Hi, Ethan, is this still available? I absolutely love the color and can pick it up this afternoon. I can give you the full $150 in cash." Within 2 minutes, Ethan replied, "Yes, Susan. It's available. I can meet you at 4 p.m. today in the parking lot of the Home Depot off Route 9. The Home Depot off Route 9 is exactly 5 minutes from my apartment." My heart was hammering against my ribs. He didn't even have the chair yet. He was planning to come to my apartment today while I was at work, steal my armchair, load it into his truck, and drive it straight to Susan at Home Depot to get the cash. It was a perfectly timed logistical heist. Except Susan didn't exist. Susan was me. I texted Ethan from my real phone. "Hey, babe. Just letting you know I have a crazy busy day at the office today. I'll be stuck in meetings until at least 7 p.m., so don't wait up for me." He replied instantly, "No worries, sweetie. Take your time, crush it at work. Love you." Love you, right. I didn't go to the office. I took a personal day. I drove my car around the block, parked it down the street where it was hidden by some trees, and I walked back to my apartment building. I have a key code lock on my door, and Ethan knows the code. I hid in the stairwell on the 3rd floor, watching the entrance of my building through the window. At exactly 2:30 p.m., Ethan's silver truck pulled up. I watched him walk into the building. He looked totally casual. He was wearing his work boots and a baseball cap. A few minutes later, the heavy lobby doors opened again. Ethan emerged, carrying my massive, emerald green velvet armchair over his head like it was a prize trophy. He loaded it into the bed of his truck, strapped a tarp over it, wiped his brow, and drove off. I stood in the stairwell laughing out loud. It was either laugh or cry, and honestly, the absurdity of it was just too much. He was literally moving my living room furniture across town to sell it to a fictional woman named Susan. At 3:45 p.m., I drove down to the Home Depot off Route 9. I parked at the very back of the lot, completely out of sight. I pulled my hood up and watched. Sure enough, at 3:55 p.m., Ethan's truck pulled into the row right under the main light pole. He turned off the engine, rolled down his window, and started scrolling on his phone. He was waiting for Susan. I took out my phone. I logged into the fake Susan account. "Hi, Ethan. I'm so sorry. I'm running about 10 minutes late. My GPS is acting up. But my daughter Maya is actually in the area, and she said she can meet you right now to give you the cash and take the chair. Is that okay? She drives a white Honda. I watched his truck through my windshield. I saw him read the message. He typed back, "Sure, Susan, that works perfectly. Tell her I'm in the silver truck near the garden center." I put my phone down. I put my car in drive. I drove slowly, deliberately through the parking lot. I pulled my white Honda right up to his truck, bumper to bumper. Ethan looked up from his phone, smiling, expecting to see Susan's daughter. When he saw my face through the windshield, his smile didn't just vanish. It looked like his entire soul left his body. His jaw literally dropped. He sat frozen in his driver's seat, staring at me like he was seeing a ghost. I turned off my engine. I stepped out of the car. I walked over to the back of his truck, unlatched the tailgate, and pulled back the tarp. There it was, my chair. Ethan slowly opened his truck door and stepped out. His face was completely pale. "Maya," he stammered. What are you doing here? I thought you were at work?" I looked at him. I looked at the chair. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the gold necklace he had given me the night before, and tossed it into the bed of his truck, right onto the velvet cushion of my chair. "Susan sent me," I said. The silence that followed was deafening. You could hear the traffic from the highway half a mile away. He looked at the necklace, then at me, and he realized. He realized there was no Susan. He realized I knew about the wine glasses. I knew about the vinyl record. I knew about the leather jacket. "Maya, listen to me," he started, his voice cracking. "It's not what it looks like. I swear, I'm in a really bad spot. The business. Winter is always slow, and I had some bad debts from a client who didn't pay me. I wanted to take you out. I wanted to be the guy who could buy you nice things. I couldn't bear the thought of you thinking I was a loser." He was almost crying. And for a split second, I felt a twinge of pity. But then I remembered the weeks of gaslighting. I remembered sitting on my living room floor, crying because I thought my brain was failing me. Because I couldn't remember where I put my own belongings. "You let me believe I was losing my mind, Ethan," I said, my voice dead calm. "You watched me search for my grandmother's wine glasses, and you comforted me, while knowing you had already sold them to some stranger for $45. I was going to buy them back," he pleaded. "I swear, once spring started and my landscaping contracts renewed, I was going to buy everything back and replace it." "With what money, Ethan? Susan's?" He had no answer for that. He just stood there, looking defeated, holding onto the side of his truck. I didn't call the police. Honestly, the thought of dealing with report forms, court dates, and explaining to a cop that my boyfriend was pawn shopping, my living room furniture just felt like too much energy. Instead, I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Unload the chair. Put it in the back of my car." He didn't say a word. He just nodded, lifted the heavy velvet armchair out of his truck, and awkwardly wedged it into the back seat of my Honda. It barely fit, but we made it work. Once it was in, I got into the driver's seat. I rolled down my window one last time. "The wine glasses, the vinyl, and the leather jacket," I said. "That comes out to exactly $195. You have until midnight tonight to Venmo me the money. If I don't see it, I'm sending screenshots of your Facebook Marketplace history to your mother, your clients, and everyone who follows your business page." He just nodded. He looked incredibly small standing there in the Home Depot parking lot. I drove away. By the time I pulled back into my apartment complex, my phone buzzed. Venmo notification. "Ethan sent you $200. Caption, "I'm sorry. So yeah, that's my life right now. I'm currently sitting in my living room. My emerald green armchair is back in its corner, and I'm $200 richer. I guess in a weird way I made a profit off my own breakup. But honestly, I think I'm going to stay single for a very, very long time. And if any of you are dating a guy who seems a little too supportive, when you lose your keys, maybe just double check his Facebook Marketplace."